I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 47. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Velocity Work Podcast. Thank you for being with me today. This is kind of a cool time to be doing an episode because it's June 30th if you're listening to this live, and July 1st is about to happen, which means not only are we at the turning point from Q2 to Q3, but we are also at the turning point from first half of 2020 to the back half of 2020. And the reason I think this is such a unique opportunity to drop this episode on this day is that this is a perfect time to take a step back, give yourself a couple of hours, maybe more, to reflect on the first 6 months and think forward very intentionally about the next 6 months. And so I have a little bit to say about that, but then I'm also going to give you 3 questions that I want you to consider and to answer for yourself as you take space here. So if you are listening to this podcast, you should absolutely take space, take some hours for yourself to reflect on the first 6 months of the year and intentionally think forward for the back half of 2020. And so what I mean by that is, the first half of the year didn't go as anyone had planned. The first half of the year was insane. I think I'm just still trying to wrap my head around it. It's nuts what the change in our world and in our society, and who knows what the new normal, like whatever that it means, what the new normal is gonna be. And there's a lot that you could easily look at as frustrating, as I think some people would probably say devastating. I think that there's just plenty to look at as kind of how this first half of the year sucked, right? Well, okay, we can all say that. And so if you need space to grieve, if you need space to vent, and you haven't done that yet, do it in your journal. That's fine. That's great. But when I'm talking about taking a step back to reflect and to be very meaningful and purposeful and intentional, that shouldn't be a part of it. You need to get that out of your system. You need to wrap your head around it. You need to make peace with what has happened, that if you're telling a story that it's kind of sucked up to this point, okay, well, it sucked for everybody in some ways, right? And some more than others. But that is not something to focus on when you're taking a step back to reflect. What I recommend is that when you take a step back to reflect, you look back at the last 6 months and you think about what the silver linings were. And you think about what are you proud of? And you think about who the people around you. What are you proud of with your family or with your team? Like, think about the good things of the last 6 months, because it is certainly easy to focus on the not so great stuff. And it's just, why keep going there, right? Like, I feel like our minds have all been there plenty. This is a unique opportunity to take a step back and be very productive with that space that we give ourselves. And I want you to think about all the great things that have been a part of this first 6 months. Now, after you really take stock of just all the things the silver linings, what you're proud of, what you're impressed by with people that you've seen and how people have rallied, or, anything, just think about what you're grateful for, what you're appreciative for, and focus on that. Make a list or write. Some people just do better with kind of writing freehand. That's fine too, but write about it. And once you kind of done that, then I want you to ask yourself, what lessons have you learned this 6 months? What has come out of this 6 months that you're going to carry forward? Maybe they're lessons like, I need to have more savings or more money in my savings, or I need to have a larger profit margin, or I need to make sure that my team is lean and awesome, which means I need more systems and processes in place. Like, what are the lessons you want to carry forward? What's the takeaways? Because if COVID didn't happen, let's just think about this for a second. If COVID didn't happen, we'd all be trucking on as we're trucking on. And the fact that it did happen has forced so many lessons. And if we aren't open to them, and if our eyes aren't open to them, and we don't see them and grasp them and be able to carry them forward so we don't repeat things that we wish not to repeat, right? Then we didn't really use what we were given with COVID. I mean, COVID did a lot that we didn't want, right? But COVID has given us some pretty important lessons, and it is crucial that if you are an entrepreneur and you have your own firm and you're thinking forward and you want to grow your business, and in whatever that means for you, right? You need to carry lessons forward. And there are a lot of lessons in this year. It doesn't matter who you are, right? It doesn't matter if you own your own firm or if you're a stay-at-home mom. If you live on this planet and you have been, and COVID has existed, then you've got lessons. So what are they? So you take time to reflect on all the silver linings and the positives. And I don't mean positives like positive Polly, like you're excited or like, Zen Buddha about it, but just like be willing to see what the beauty of this first 6 months, what is that? Articulate that for you and your world and your life and your firm and your clients and yourself, right? And then think about the lessons that you've learned so that you can carry those forward, be able to write those out so that you can articulate those and you can think about those and you can decide that you're going to learn these specific things and carry them forward. And then when you think forward, this is what everybody loves to do. They like to set goals. They like to set, revenue goals and maybe new hire goals or anyway, people like to set number goals. And I think that's fantastic. But I'm going to offer you something in addition. So when you set goals, and by the way, I'm not focusing on that now because it is very difficult to help someone set goals when I don't have any information about their business. And setting goals is unique to every different business. And the teams I work with, we set several goals, but it's because there's a lot of support going towards those goals. So if you're new to setting goals, you do not need to go out and set 5 to 10 metric-driven goals. I do think you should set 1 or 2. I do think that for sure, because it's a measure of progress. It's so easy to have a measurement of progress with numbered goals, with metric-driven goals. So I do think that everyone needs to set those, and I'm actually happy to do a podcast on it. I am getting ready to do a workshop on it for the mastery groups, the membership that I lead that we just kicked off in June, and it's going super well. And I'm going to lead a workshop on setting goals and rocks in July for them. By the way, we're opening up enrollment for that, which is super reasonably priced and so much value out of it. We're opening up enrollment again in August for September. And so whoever joins in the future, you get all the workshops and the resources that I'm doing month to month. Those replays are available inside of the membership community. So if you do join in the future, which that opens up in August for September, you will have access to that workshop I was just telling you about, the Goals and Rocks workshop. So I do that, but that's why I don't just do it on the podcast. It's very difficult to teach people how to set great goals because they take things out of context, and it's very hard for me to feel like I'm providing a lot of value if I can't be really pointed with the conversation. And but hear me say, goals are important. Metrics are important. Tracking is important. And if you're new to this game, don't go set a bunch of goals with these numbers. I would set a couple. If you're not new to this game and you have a team and you have people to support to help you achieve those goals, you can set more. It really depends on the bandwidth that you have. And The other thing is if you're just newer and you're setting 1 or 2 goals, maybe it's a revenue goal and number of cases open or number of new hires for the year, let's say, then the other thing is whatever goals you pick. So if those two are it, you want to pick goals that sort of force function a lot of really great things for your firm in order to hit them. And so, for number of new hires, for example, if you have a goal around that, then you want to make sure that, okay, if we're going to hit that, we've got to decide priorities that are going to help us achieve that goal. Like, what do we need to do in order to hit that goal? And it's really great to ask yourself those questions and set priorities, because what happens is you start getting things in your firm dialed in and lined up so that that number can be hit. And it's a beautiful thing for the firm. And so then even if you fall short of your goal, right, and you still worked your butt off to get it, and you still did all the things that were necessary to allow that goal to unfold, then you still, like, it's all good, right? Like, we set goals to help us grow. We don't set goals because our life depends on the number. That's not how this works. You set a goal and it force functions a lot of great things inside of the firm so that you can hit that goal. And if you fall short, you don't make it mean something. You keep going. So maybe you didn't make it by the December 31st of 2020 for whatever goal you're setting. Okay, well, you don't stop. You keep going, right? So you keep taking action until you get the result that you want. And what that does is it sort of force functions a lot of really great things inside your firm to happen that help your firm become even more sustainable and providing just a really great foundation for the growth that you want to see. So whatever number goals you set, my encouragement is for you to set one that's going to force function some really great things inside your firm, some really valuable things inside of your firm to have happen. Okay, that was a bit of a tangent, but okay, so you're going to reflect on the good things. You're going to think through the lessons that you've learned from the first 6 months of the year, and you're going to set some goals moving forward. 1, 2, 5, it's up to you, but you need to have the bandwidth and the support to really focus on those goals that you set. So set the number of goals appropriately, and that'll sort of force function for you to think through priorities that need to happen, aka rocks, in as sort of these projects that need to happen. The things that if you don't do them, it's going to hold you back from achieving the goal. Focus on those things, what needs to get done inside the firm so that you can hit those goals. And then once you've done that, which is also fantastic, I would recommend asking yourself these 3 questions that I'm going to lay out for you. 1 is, what decision needs to be made in your firm? And I'm pausing here because this is different for everyone. But when you ask yourself that, there's probably a whisper that comes up. There's probably this thing that you're like, oh, that thing. What decision needs to be made in your firm? Now, the reason I think this is a very important question to ask yourself, and listen, you don't have to do anything, but just sit and acknowledge what decision needs to be made in your firm. So this is important because there's usually something you've been putting off. This is what we all do, right? There's usually something you've been putting off because it feels hard, or you're afraid of something. You're afraid of other people's reactions. You're afraid of hurting someone's feelings. You are afraid that you're going to lose money. It's usually fear-based is the reason that we don't actually make a decision that we know we need to make. Sometimes it's not fear. The only other thing that it might be is that you're just too busy and you keep putting it off. And so if that's the case for you, okay, but this is the turn of the half-year mark. And what decision needs to be made in your firm? Whatever comes up, maybe it's letting someone go. Maybe it's hiring someone in that you've just been putting off, actually getting that done. Maybe it's being more discerning about the clients that you take on. I don't know what it is for you, but you do. So what is the decision that needs to be made for your firm? And just get right about that. Now, just because you are able to identify that thing, don't freak out. You don't have to do it tomorrow, but you could. But make a plan for how you're going to actually get that thing done. Like go ahead and decide that it's going to be done, and then make a plan for what feels appropriate to get it done. And then you're going to abide by your plan. So you don't have to make a decision. Let's say there's someone you know you need to let go. You have been dragging your feet with it because she's been with you forever. She's, but the unfortunate thing is that she hasn't grown with your business. She's just existed in your business for a long time, but she hasn't grown with your business. And so it's kind of time to let her go. And you know that. Well, you don't have to walk in the next day and let that person go. You could, though, but what I'm saying is just decide that it's going to happen and decide what you want that to look like and make the call. Because it's things like that when we actually know that we could make a decision and we don't, you hold yourself back in so many more ways than you think or that you're intending to. So just cut the cord or pull the trigger, so to speak, with whatever it is that you know you need to decide, whether it's getting rid of something, that's what I meant by cut the cord, or maybe adding something to the firm. Whatever it is, make the decision. Make the decision and plan out how you're going to do it. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, what habit is most important that you become fully committed to? And I want you to pick one. It's so easy to say, well, I need to exercise more, and I need to get up earlier, and I need to meditate every day, and I need whatever, right? No, pick one. What is the one habit that is most important that you become fully committed to? And just see what comes up. What's your answer to that? The third question is, how can I be a better boss? This question is probably going to be the toughest for some of you. When I say better boss, what I don't mean is, what that doesn't mean is that you just have to be nicer for the sake of being nicer. Like meaning you don't have to start. When I say, how can I be a better boss? That doesn't mean like give more gifts or spend more money on my team. It might mean that, like maybe you don't do any of that. Maybe you don't do any acknowledgement or celebration of what your team accomplishes. Okay, so then that's a good step. But if you already are, you work hard to foster a really great culture and great morale inside of the firm, that's great. So then really ask yourself, what do you need to do to be a better boss? The thing about great bosses is they work hard to develop their team members, to grow their team members, to empower their team members, and they hold them accountable. So with that in mind, where could you use the most attention in terms of being a boss? Where could you use the most focus on yourself? Like, how can you develop yourself to be more of whatever you need? Do you need to empower your team more? Do you need to hold them accountable more? And what does that look like, right? And the thing about this question is, and all of these questions, is that whatever your answers are, it doesn't mean that you have to like flip a switch on and it's going to go 0 to 60 tomorrow. That's why these questions are really great sort of at these reflective points in these transitions, like between quarters and now that we're entering the last half of the year, is because it just makes you pause and it kind of it allows you to wake up to where you can improve and where you can take the reins and where you can really shift something or where you have been avoiding something. It really wakes you up to that. And the more awake you are to that, the better you will show up. Because the more, it's almost like once you realize something, you can't unknow it. That's not how it works. And so this time of reflection is really important to think through questions you don't ask yourself on a day-to-day basis. This is the time to ask those questions. So you're going to sit down, take a couple of hours, think through the first half of the year, the great things, the positives, the silver linings, what are you proud of yourself for, all of that. And then you're going to think of what are the lessons that you're going to carry forward. Then you're going to think forward to setting goals and priorities for yourself. And I'm telling you, don't be lofty with those. It's better to be small and like hyper focused on those because you will achieve them faster than sort of diluted and watered down among a lot of different goals. So, but set some targets for yourself for the last half of 2020. And once you've done all that, then that's the 3 questions I have for you is really reflect on these 3 questions. What decision needs to be made in your firm? What one habit is most important that you become fully committed to? And how can you be a better boss? There is no magic to these things. There's no, like I said, it's not, you don't answer these so that you can just become so obsessive and fixated that you're just going to flip a switch the next day. It's more about just waking up and realizing where there's room for improvement, where there's room for growth, and then really thinking forward to the next 6 months. And how do you want whatever the answer is to each of those questions, how do you want those answers to come to life over the next 6 months? What do you want to do? How can you keep them top of mind for you so that they do come alive in your firm in the next 6 months and within you? So think forward, be thoughtful, take some space, get some paper. If you have a journal, that's great. If you don't, it could just be a clean slate of paper. And sit down and follow sort of the things that I've given you here today. End with those last 3 questions, and I guarantee you it will be a fantastic review process for yourself and goal setting process for yourself and intention setting process for yourself and your firm. All right, everyone, have a beautiful July, beginning of July and beginning of quarter 3. I hope that you are all well and learning and growing and excited about the last half of 2020. Hi guys, it's me again. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, you probably understand that growth requires results, not just staying active. If you want to learn how to build your days around getting results, I'll show you how in this zero fluff class that I teach. Go to velocitywork.com/results for registration information. I cannot wait to see you there. If you want to hang out with us on social, come on over to Instagram. Our handle is velocity.work. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/meetvelocitywork. Cheers, my friends, to real growth and a great life. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.